welcome everyone to this podcast. There's something to be said about working on this project during these times, both with the coronavirus pandemic we are enduring and continuing protests for Black Lives Matter happening all over this country. There is a lot of shifting and the push to move forward right now. And I hope we can agree that artists are often at the forefront of change. So for the continuation of the fight for justice, equality, and the end of oppression, we need to be supporting the voices of artists. In this episode, we will see how that is done with culturally connected youth education and adult theater educators. I feel so lucky to have had the opportunity to talk with Russell Brooks and Nicole Suyama about the organization Red Eagle Soaring based in Seattle. And I will let them introduce themselves.
My name is Russell Brooks. I'm the Executive Director for Red Eagle Soaring. I'm Southern Cheyenne. I have been the Executive Director for 3 years.
Well, my name is Nicole Suyama, and I am the Program Manager for Red Eagle Soaring.
First, I asked Russell to tell me about Red Eagle Soaring and what the organization does.
Red Eagle Soaring has been around since 1991 in Seattle, and the mission is to empower Native youth to build their confidence in their ability to express themselves through traditional and contemporary performing arts. We serve ages 10 to 19, and then we have our alumni who are ages 20 plus. I think our oldest active alumni is the age of 30. We've mentored hundreds of Native youth in the area over the years. We've done close to 170 productions to date, and we've also had youth that come from as far away as Tacoma or even Olympia to take part in our programming on a regular basis. We have a full year-round cycle of programming that we follow, and so collectively we bring a very intertribal presence together and sharing different traditions and different stories from tribes. And then we help keep our youth culturally connected while they grow up and live in an urban environment. At the same time, we also help them take creative action on issues that affect their daily lives in contemporary sense. And sometimes those things are very, blended together, because for us as Native people, like the past, the present, and even the future, it all exists at the same time. It's not compartmentalized. So those things are often one and the same in many ways, and we carry on our cultural traditions and through the art of storytelling.
I asked both Nicole and Russell about why theater is the medium used by Red Eagle Soaring.
So in Native America, storytelling has always been a very, very big part of our culture, and storytelling in itself is a form of theater. I guess you could say. And, going back thousands and thousands of years, storytelling in Native culture there's always been a theatrical aspect to it. We have regalia that we wear. We have our traditional masks that we wear. We have, ceremonies that kind of in some ways can be looked at as a theatrical experience. And so we really wanted to take the two. Because for Red Eagle Soaring, we take the cultural aspect and the theatrical aspect and just kind of meld them into one. We're a very non-traditional theater in that way. And it's super important because, like I've said 1,000 times, Native people are storytellers, and we just really wanted to provide a platform for our youth to have a voice and be able to share their stories and talk about what they want to and share their experiences. In a platform where other people besides just us and Native America, where the rest of the world can see us as well. And theater kind of gave us that platform in a way that we wouldn't have otherwise.
I mean, obviously there's nothing more confidence building than live theater. Part of it is too, it kind of mimics more of our traditional forms of storytelling. I mean, in many of our Native traditions, the oral way of storytelling was really strong, and that's how stories were passed down through generations. And even though we've kind of adapted this Western Americanized style of theater, there's still some really strong elements to that have always been a part of Native culture, including, like I said, that oral storytelling tradition. And so like with that, I think that's the reason why that's probably the preeminent way that we operate as far as our programming and what we do. And as far as our youth are concerned, Red Eagle Soaring provides something for everyone, whether they, want to pursue a career in acting, either on stage or in film, or maybe they have other desires, and maybe they're not even comfortable on stage, but just even having that experience has helped boosted their confidence. And so that confidence will be part of their core memories as they go forward in life.
I wanted to know a bit about the programming that Red Eagle Soaring does throughout the year.
Traditionally, though, our camps look different. Like when we do the spring play, it lasts from February to June, and we do weekly rehearsals on the weekends. We usually, through different methods, find a story that our youth turn into a play or production. As far as our programming in the summertime, that's a 2-week intensive workshop, CAP. And it's a total of about 66 hours of work that we put in over 2 weeks. Sometimes it's a story that's presented to us. It could be a traditional story from a specific tribe where we produce that story, or we've had the youth come together and basically collaborate to write their own story, sometimes to address like really important topics like in the community or things that are going on in their lives. And then as far as our fall workshops go, that's usually about 6 weeks.
It was also really incredible to hear the way in which RES has adapted to this virtual space we now must use.
We're doing programming online now as well. So basically, before this all started, we had our rehearsals every Saturday from 1 to 5 at ACT Theater in Seattle. And then when everything got shut down, we kind of took a step back from programming for a moment because we didn't know. Nobody knew how long it was going to be. Was it going to be a few weeks? Nobody knew. But once we realized we weren't going to get back in for at least a month or longer, now it's been longer, we decided to go to online virtual classes, which is interesting because, as you know, you can't have a full-on rehearsal over Zoom. You can't do blocking. You can run lines, but that's pretty much about it. We decided to start these online classes just to see what we could do and where it might go. People slowly started joining, and once we got into a rhythm of things, another huge thing that we had happen, though, that we couldn't have done if we were doing our regular in-person rehearsals, was we've had guest speakers come in. We had 3 different guest speakers who are all like big shot native actors. The first one was Zahn McClarnon from Westworld. He came and spoke with us first, and then the second person we had was Sean Taylor Corbett, who's a Broadway star, and then our third guest speaker was Tantu Cardinal, who's been in Dances with Wolves. She was in Smoke Signals, which is a big movie in the Native community. And so yeah, they just came in and talked to the youth about their experiences, so we couldn't have had them if it weren't for this new platform.
I asked Russell what was his and the organization's hope for a student coming out of their time with Red Eagle Soaring. Really, it was amazing how much could be gained by a student in these programs.
I kind of sum it up this way. I do find Native youth who are like our next generation of teaching artists. They're our next generation of actors and writers and storytellers and musicians. I think Red Eagle Soaring's a professional and a career pathway. For some of our youth, that is going to be the start of it for them. And hopefully something that continues to kind of keep them grounded and connected to who they are and where they come from throughout their lives, no matter how far they go or no matter what they do. But, at its core level, in meeting our mission of empowering them to build their confidence and their ability to express themselves, as long as we've been able to accomplish that with our youth and be able to demonstrate with each of them that somehow they've benefited from being a part of these activities, then we've met our mission. People are going to get different things out of it, but at its core, it's going to help build their confidence and their just shape them in a way that's going to help set them on a good trajectory in life and still like really enhance and keep them connected to who they are as Native people.
When looking at Red Eagle Soaring's website, redeaglesoaring.org, before the interview with Russell, I read about an active group within the organization. This group is called Yesterday, Today, Tomorrow. I was taken with the description of this group, and here's a quote from the website. YTT is a group of Red Eagle Soaring alumni that continue to mentor the youth of our program within RES activities. YTT members also create and perform their own pieces of art that take place in Seattle and abroad. This group stays active by pursuing their own artistic and professional development. RES provides support and cultivates opportunities for them as they become the next generation of native teaching artists and art-based industry professionals. I had Russell also tell me about this group.
But one thing that we've noticed is that there's a real gap for supporting young adults, especially young adult artists. And like we're perfectly set up to do that. Once you become a part of Red Eagle Soaring, it's like an extended family that just goes on no matter how old you get. But they've aged up and now they're young adults and they're still artists and they're still trying to find ways to, go out there and do art, be creative. But then we also have these opportunities for them to come back and mentor our youth, like alongside teaching artists or even our alumni. We know they're the next generation of native teaching artists that we need. And so finding ways to help cultivate them professionally so that they can, not just teach with Red Eagle Soaring, but go out and teach the performing arts anywhere. YTT is yesterday, today, and tomorrow, urban native performing artists. And so that's our active alumni.
Talking to Russell about YTT had him connect me to one of the founding members, who is also the program manager for Red Eagle Soaring.
And then we have our program manager, Nicole Suyama. She's been in our program since she was age 11. She's been with our organization almost 17 years now. Along with being a stage actor, she's also a singer, and she's won national competitions in singing. And so Red Eagle Soaring was what gave her that, that platform, to that catalyst, to spring forth beyond the road that she's been in life.
I also got Nicole to tell me about Yesterday, Today, Tomorrow, and specifically how it was started.
YTT, or Yesterday, Today, Tomorrow, was started, I want to say almost a year and a half ago, I think. And it started about when I came on. Because I was an alumni and I had directed a show the year before, and it had brought some other alumni out of the woodwork to come check it out when they heard that I was directing it. Originally, it was a way to just get our alumni back into performing arts. A lot of us artists, if we don't go into it, after our adolescence, if we don't go to school for it, or if we don't try to go into that field of work, then a lot of us tend to fall away from it. And so we wanted to create a space for our alumni to come back and get to perform and get to do their art where they might not get to in the work world. And then one of our alumni, Dylan Elwood, came in with a script. He had been writing. We decided to read his script, and from there we decided to make a show. And now we're touring the show. Well, we were touring the show, and then this all kind of happened. But and it's YTT has become something way bigger than we ever imagined, than we first thought it was going to be.
After reading the description of YTT, I was really taken with the idea of training the next generation of theater artists. I wanted to ask Nicole, what is the importance of providing that training?
The importance for us specifically is there is a great lack of native and indigenous teaching artists, specifically in the theater world. It's very few and far between. It's been very, very hard and very challenging to find Native American teaching artists. When you're working with Native kids, you want them to have a Native role model to look up to and to teach them. So we definitely try to build our own, just because there's such a lack out there. And not all of us have the resources to go out and learn on our own or receive the type of training. Not a lot of people can afford to go get a formal education, want to train them and have them come back and teach for us, because not only is there a lack of native teaching artists to come in and teach our native youth, there's just a lack of native actors in general as well, in the theater scene for sure, and in the film industry. Absolutely, there's a lack. So we want to give a voice and a platform and a stage to those that don't have it regularly.
While Nicole and I were having this conversation, she also touched on the current production that has come out of YTT, in the tour that was supposed to happen.
So this specific play is super important because it not just touches on cultural aspects of different tribes around America, but it also touches on a lot of stuff that we are dealing with now. And kind of with this pandemic, it's almost it works with that as well. So the show is called Killer Whale and the Black Rush. What the Black Rush is, it's representative of pollution and oil and the things that humans and mankind have done to the earth and ruined for, the rest of the animals living here. And so the story, it's all the characters are animals, and it's about these animals living in a post-apocalyptic world where humans have destroyed everything. Just for that fact alone, it was such a pertinent, important piece for our time now. That's why we really wanted to get it out there, and that's why people wanted us to bring it. The writer is a Turtle Mountain Chippewa, so he uses some of his language, and then you see different aspects of different tribes. But then it's also this huge giant theme of, hey, we are literally killing this earth. We are killing the animals, we're killing the plants, our water is being poisoned. But it's still happening, it's still very, very real. And so that's why one, people wanted us to bring the show. That's also why we wanted to bring the show out, or put the show out there.
In the class I've been taking recently, there has been a lot of acknowledgement of the purposeful inaccuracy of the societal narrative we have about Native Americans, and then the lack of education we received in schools that breeds ignorance. I wanted to hear from Nicole and Russell what they believe people need to understand. And I would like to play the question how I asked it to Russell in our conversation. Another question I have is, what would you like those who do not know much about Native cultures, especially those like me who have had a failure in their education up until this point, are already in college and are trying to do the work to learn more, about cultural traditions and about Native history, but also about Red Eagle Soaring? What would you like us to know?
I guess what I would want people to know is that, first and foremost, is that we are still very much here. We very much still exist. There are really people that don't believe Native Americans still exist. It's almost like we're mythical creatures from a time before America was started. I don't know. It's a weird thing. People think weird things. But we are very much here, and we all might not look like your stereotypical Native. We don't look like how you might think we look, and that's how a lot of our at least our urban Native, a lot of our youth are all mixed as well with everything, right? And that's not just different races. That's within the Native community. A lot of us have different tribes in our background. But so yeah, we still exist.
You want people to feel comfortable enough to ask questions. I think for me, it's really important for people to understand that, like in framing those questions, that, Native people, although on the surface we do have common experiences, that definitely connects us, as far as being Native people. But when you go deeper than that, Native people have very diverse cultures, very diverse histories, languages, not just lumping all Native people together, in any one way. And just being open to learning and not being afraid to ask questions if people want to genuinely learn. Obviously, historically, there's, with a lot of people, there's a lot of mistrust, due to some of the things that have happened within the tribal and, American relations and things. But also, as Native people, we're very giving and we're very open to those who also come in that same way. So if there are people that do want to learn more, we're always happy to share. To also realize that we are all living in this modern era, trying to take care of our families, try to take care of ourselves. We all have that human experience. And so, but at the same time, there's a lot of strength and really core values that we derive from our traditional ways. And obviously things that due to historical trauma, people have either forgotten or maybe they've been separated from.
And also, I'd say that respect is a big thing for us in our culture. Respect for your fellow human, respect for Mother Earth, respect for animals, respect for, if our traditions aren't just for us, it's something that we'd like to spread out to everybody. And I think that's a big thing that Indigenous people want to get out to the public, is that we need to work with Mother Earth, not against her. And we'll all be all right. She'll take care of us if we take care of her. I think that's a big, big thing that is not seen as much in non-Native cultures.
When speaking about education, I think it is also important to understand what is happening when it comes to the education we receive from our schools. While also looking at Red Eagle Soaring's website, I saw that RES programming supports, since time immemorial, Washington State Tribal History and Sovereignty curriculum, developed by the Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction. Russell told me more about the support for this curriculum.
And it's about tribal sovereignty and history. We have 29 federally recognized tribes just in the state of Washington. And obviously, I mean, that doesn't, at any one time, like as far as Red Eagle Soaring is concerned, we have probably at least 30 to 40 different tribes that are represented through our youth. If people understand the context of historical trauma and also attempted genocide, and that are very real, that we're still recovering from those things within our Native communities and within our families. When people understand the ramifications and the implications of that and how Native people have been resilient and survived and are still here and are thriving, but are also working hard to maintain our cultures and our tribal sovereignties and things, because Native history was never accurately taught in schools across this country. It's really important that people in this country understand that Native history is American history. It precedes and it's still going on. So just, like with STI being really a framework by which that we can continue, again, talking about storytelling and Native stories, like to be able to acquaint other audiences and other people with Native people's stories or history that they may not have understood otherwise, to actually give them a more accurate view of the world, and then also understanding the importance of tribal sovereignty is really, really critical, and it's really important, and not just for Native students, but it's important for all students to understand. And even though it was mandated, there are some school districts that have made some good strides as far as implementing that, but there's others that haven't barely begun to scratch the surface yet. But again, it's that type of thing is more of a big picture thing that hopefully in the next generation or two that we've made some real significant progress, as far as implementing that into our schools. And as far as Red Eagle Soaring goes, like, we're always going to be a strong advocate for that, because that is our history, that is our our family stories, our youth. Our youth are in the public schools throughout Seattle and King County, so it's important that they're that who they are and where they come from is respected and is recognized, and can be appreciated.
Ending both the conversation I had with Russell and the podcast today, I wanted to know how we can support Red Eagle Soaring.
Well, first off, obviously we're a nonprofit organization, so we rely on funding from donors and supporters. Right now, we're largely supported through United Way of King County, and also ACT Theater. United Way is our biggest funder and supporter. And then ACT Theater is where we have kind of our creative, artistic home. We have a website, redeaglesoaring.org. Our Facebook page links directly to that, which we keep updated. People can donate anytime too. If you go onto our website, there's a way to donate. And then also to support our, our big supporters too, like United Way, King County, and also ACT Theater. That's really important to us because they've been such great partners to us. Facebook and Instagram, that's the two things that we keep regular correspondence with the public on. We also have a lot of different videos of like past performances and things on YouTube. Right now we're in the middle of kind of revamping our YouTube. So that'll be revamped here shortly. That shows some past performances or interviews and things like that. But yeah, those are usually the best ways. But you can donate anytime. Just go to our website, redeaglesoaring.org, and there's a donate button there. And whenever we can get back in the theater, or come see our shows. So.
Lastly, I want to leave you with some final words from Russell Brooks, talking about what it means to be building community through Red Eagle Soaring.
I think that's something too that's really quintessential for, as far as our organization. Whenever you're involved in the arts, you need that collective energy, and you need what everybody brings to it to make it what it becomes. And that's what resonates with people. But these type of things, like, our youth really build a sense of community that way, and understanding that that there are gifts and there are things that we're called to contribute. They take that into the rest of their lives. They're our next generation of emerging leaders in the greater Native community. And learning kind of to like reconnecting back with kind of our traditional models of leadership, where it's not like this linear structure that we've kind of been pushed through, like as far as American society, but getting back to how our cultural values have shaped kind of like community and that circular model that our Native and Indigenous communities come from, and reconnecting back to that so that we find value in everybody, and everybody contributes to the value of the whole. Those are really important things.
Thank you so much to Russell Brooks and Nicole Suyama. I so enjoyed the time I got to talk with both of them and to learn about Red Eagle Soaring and the incredible work this organization is doing. Please, if you are able, support RES, follow them on social media, and join the mailing list on their website. Thank you to Anika Tilland-Stafford at Western for providing this community outreach project. This music is Dreaming Days by Ketsa. And once again, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed and maybe even learned something. Stay safe and bye.